This series was about close encounters of animals and things. I think we've officially succeeded.
I think we have as well.
The obvious way of having an amazing African experience when it comes to wild animals is to do what you've seen on the travel brochures and on the TV. Fly in, go to a lodge, be pampered, get on the back of a couple of seats next to some people that you don't know in a vehicle and go to see game. But it misses some of the flavours and tastes of Africa as far as I'm concerned. Self-driving, to me, is the ultimate way of really getting the flavours of Africa and sucking them up and just living the African experience. This is the alternative, Jeremy. What do you reckon?
It's definitely an alternative. Thank you for everything else we've done.
My goal is to go out via self-drive, almost exclusively camping, to areas where the animals will come really close to me, get really close to my camp. Big 5 game walking through your campsite. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to go and find those magic places where you can get superb, close encounters with African animals. As I'm walking, they're very jittery. There are a lot of hyena around. It smells like elephant.
You just had a pee outside. How do you feel now?
Cape Town International Airport. I'm about to board a flight to Windhoek, the capital of Namibia. That's about a 2-hour flight north of here. In Windhoek, I'll be collecting my vehicle for this year's expedition. And I should mention that this is Cape Town, where I used to live. Cape Town is celebrating they are celebrating like never before. They were about to come, and this was about a month and a half ago, about to become the only city in the world to have ever actually run out of water. They were literally within a week of turning off the taps, and the rain started falling and it hasn't stopped. I've been here for 3 days. It's poured down every single day. Everybody is ecstatic. The relief here is tangible. I'll be leaving, picking up our truck and heading off into the bush. Windhoek is an easy 2-hour flight from Cape Town, which means getting a glimpse of the great Namib Desert beneath us, where we will be meeting a representative from Tech Pro Safaris, the safari company that's loaned us one of its brand new safari rental Land Cruisers. This will be our home for the next 4 weeks. Pretty nice, eh? The vehicle we've been given is part of a new fleet of overland rental vehicles based out of Windhoek, Namibia, an ideal location from which to start a safari expedition into southern Africa. Okay, that's my map.
Yeah, that's what? Oh, is that the one you brought?
I drew that.
Oh,
I drew it.
Okay.
I had a mapping company.
Okay.
And
really?
I sold it in 2008, and that's their edition.
Wow.
I owned Infomap. That's my mapping company. It's the full package. We should have everything we need for our 4-week safari. All right, that's just about it. It's stock up time. We've been to the supermarket and we've got all our supplies for our trip. And it's now a case of finding their places inside the truck to make things as convenient as possible.
The thing that struck me about coming back to South Africa after 5 years being away was just how horrendously expensive things in South Africa are. But if we ever decide to come back and live in Africa, we'll come and live in Namibia, in Windhoek, because like we just piled in stuff here and it's very cheap.
Today's drive is an easy one to a campsite just before crossing into Botswana. Just stopped for a brief lunch stop. We are a couple of hours still west of the Botswana border. The vehicle that I'm driving is a Toyota Land Cruiser 79. The 79 is part of the 70 series, of course, but with the double cab, the dual cab, the 4-door. The conversion is done by Paul Marsh in Cape Town. The main bits consist of canopy made by Alucab, rooftop tent also made by Alucab, and other bits and pieces from various manufacturers. That's our home for the next Gwyn 2 weeks, me 4 weeks. The vehicle has been loaned to Gwyn and I by Tech Pro Safaris. They are the new kid on the block. They are building a series of rental vehicles, including Land Cruisers and Hiluxes, they call themselves the luxury overland fleet. Liver spread from German Namibia. Probably quite good.
Yes.
And my job now is to find out whether the word luxury really works in this context. You have to eat it with a German accent.
Oh dear.
We arrive well before sunset. Plenty of time to figure out the camping equipment that comes with the truck, as well as get used to being in the African bush again. This is bush breaks near the Botswana border, which is about 30 kilometers-ish further east. We'll be crossing the border tomorrow. So nice and early, actually. No rush. We've had an extremely relaxed day. This is how touring Southern Africa should be. Actually, touring anywhere should be. Nice and relaxed, chilled, no hurry, and lots of birds. There's a waterhole. And the whole area here is pitted with holes. Those are probably mongoose. And just game tracks. What kind of game tracks are we seeing here? There's just too many to single them out. But I don't think this is a cattle area, because if this was a cattle area, you'd have lots of droppings, and there are no droppings, no cattle droppings. It's used because the footprints are fresh. Often there are spiders' webs in the entrance of holes like this, but there are none, which means this is very active. The area we're at now is actually between the Namib and the Kalahari. The area is actually, it's quite distinguishable from each other, but the transition from the one to the other is actually very, very gentle. This part of Namibia is fenced game farms, huge game farms, but this area here, very close to the border, is not. And this is unfenced bush wilderness. So in a place like this, it's a good chance. All kinds of wild animals. Gwyn has just discussed the likelihood of game visiting us with the local caretaker.
Just antelope. Antelope and zebra, but I mean there's zebra dropping over there that I noticed.
Yes.
They turn the light on at night, and there's some campers over in the eco camp. That's my news for the day.
Now, it's being the first time that I'm setting up the car for camping. The ease with which I do it will be a measure to me of how well Tech Pro Safaris have sorted out the camping, generally speaking. I put that there. So that's not a measure, even though it fell out of the car while the camera was running. I'm not going to take it out. And everything is very well organised in the vehicle, with lots of places to put everything. It's got a set location. Now the truth is that I actually changed a lot of those locations because I'm used to a certain way of camping. I've done it so often. But I've also left quite a bit of it as it would be delivered. And you, my friend, if I'm not mistaken, are one of those on the page towards the back of the book with a white front and kind of this big. This is typical man-made waterhole the campsite. We're over there. Lucian Block's over there. There's another campsite over there. And actually there are some campers in the thorn trees over there. This is a wild area. It's not fenced. Will we see big game? I have absolutely no idea. This time of year, there is not a lot of standing water around, so waterholes like this tend to attract a lot of animals. During the summer months, there might be so much water all around that nothing comes here, or virtually nothing, comes here typically of an evening when the animals are then looking for water. You never know. You never know. And I look around, the spoor, the game, the place is absolutely covered with spoor, with game. So a lot of animals come here a lot of the time. Another sign that this is a well used by animals, this is called a midden. It's a latrine. And this here, those are almost certainly impala droppings. They're not particularly, oh, those are fresh. Those are fresh. These other ones aren't. Well, this is interesting. This is what's known as a salt lick. It's literally a block of salt. The animals can come and lick it. And, well, game farmers will often do it. Near a waterhole is a great place because animals will come here and then they'll find it. Animals benefit enormously from salt licks, particularly this time of year when the grass has very little nutrition, and to be able to take some salt intake together with water, it really makes a huge difference to the animals in the area to have that available to them. Okay, that's a good idea. As a choice of tent for a rental package like this, the Gen 3 Helicape's good one. It's very quick to get up and down. It's very hassle-free. So that's a good choice. So we're cooking a little bit of a meal, and of course the light has been turned on over there, overlooking the waterhole, and the lens is ready. The long lens is ready to capture anything should it happen. So there is an animal there in the dark. It hasn't come into the light yet. It is a kudu female, I would say. I'm waiting for it to come into the light. I need to turn off autofocus.
She's over there, I can see her.
Yeah, she's away from the light. She's obviously nervous because of us. She's quite nervous about us. She's skittish. She keeps looking at us, stopping, but out of the light.
I think she's an impala.
For the first time we can get a good look at him. It's a male impala. Oh, there's somebody else coming. A couple more animals coming now. There's another one coming behind the tree, and they're passing in front of our campsite. It's rather lovely. Good morning. Very, very cold night. Very cold night. The wind was blowing a bit last night, which means in this part of the world, in winter, that a cold front is coming through, and it hit us last night with a vengeance. I reckon we had temperatures of, I'd be surprised if they were higher than -6 or 7. And we were very cold, but we survived it. And today's the expedition starts today. We head east into Botswana, then further east and into the fabled Central Kalahari Game Reserve, which is, in terms of its amount of space, one of the largest conservation areas on Earth. And hopefully we will see more there than we saw in our little waterhole last night. This is Kansi, the cattle farming town, and the last stop for us before we head to the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Passing into Botswana was very quick, very easy, nobody at the border post, and that whole process through the border took about 20 minutes. And of course, fueling up and getting our last bit of shopping always takes considerably more. But looking forward to getting into the wilderness. We're on the Kalkriet Road. Kalkriet is a white stone that they make gravel roads in Botswana with, and it's quite blinding on the eye. The road to the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Filled up with fuel, but we're actually chasing the sun. We didn't mean to find ourselves in this situation, but we found that the vehicle being so strange to us, it took a long time to get out of camp this morning. I mean, well over an hour and a half longer than we thought it might, because it was just, you know, we've struggled with the car because of the. Anyway, I won't go into details. We are chasing the sun. We will find ourselves tonight, I'm sure, inside the reserve. Probably not at the spot that I was hoping for, but we will be in game country. So the road has become a track, quite soft sand, and we're getting very, very close to the boundary fence of the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. There's probably going to be an area where we have to check in to show them our bookings. They control access quite strictly. And how long that is, where is that, and how much time, I don't know. It's, but I am thinking about dropping my tire pressures because it's getting thick. Yeah, it's tire pressure dropping time because we're going to get stuck if we continue like this. Let's do that. Right. Lucky I remembered where I put this. The Land Cruiser comes equipped with ARB tyre gauge and built-in pump, which will make my job quite easy. 60 kilometers of this at an average speed of 30 kilometers an hour is 2 hours. This is a nail biter. Our average speed, I mean, is going from 30 to 40, occasionally to 45, back to 30, and we have approximately 30 kilometers to go, and it's exactly 1 hour until they close the gate. It is a nail biter. Stay with us, folks, as we do our best to get into the reserve this evening, and I hope we do, because there are not too many campsites around. Very, very thick bush and very, very thick sand. Whew, this is going to be close. Action. Okay, this is the Discovery Channel version. I'll be wearing a bandana and I'll be saying things like, if we don't make the park gate by nightfall, we're both gonna die.
And what will take us?
Lions will eat us alive.
Wow. Lions.
Lions will eat us alive. Will they make it, folks? Run commercial.
Okay, do you want to talk to us?
Yeah. We just came across a signpost. Sorry, didn't film it. No time to stop. The race is too close. It said we are 24 kilometers out, and we have to do that in 40 minutes. So we might make it. If the road doesn't deteriorate, we'll make it. We didn't make it. It's dark. The last thing I want to do is to have to set up camp in the dark, and the area inside the reserve will be very similar to this. So we've decided to pull over and camp. We found a little bit of an opening here, a little flat bit here. It's very pretty, and this is where we'll spend the night.
we really gave it a good shot, but I think we would have got there on time, but dark. What's the point in that? So we did try our best, but that's where we are. We'll camp here the night, and yes. Oh, we saw elephant dung. Haha! Elephant. There are elephant in the area. Yes, and in fact, Gwynnie, this is.
I'm on my way.
What are those tracks? It's freshly turned earth.
Oh wow! Isn't that's elephant? Look at it.
It is.
Something's different.
Look, that's elephant, Gwynnie. There is elephant.
Oh, wow.
Look.
That is without
That's
question
a
elephant.
very fresh elephant track. No
Shit.
question.
Are we
There's
in
another.
Oh, there's his dropping. We're not in his path, are we?
Well, yes. Well, this is his path right through here. That's not particularly new. Okay?
But those tracks weren't that we've now walked all over.
No, I think that they were the same age as him. It makes sense that that's what's happened. So what that means is that we are actually in the reserve itself. We haven't officially crossed into the, but we're in the. Otherwise, we would probably not have a lot of elephant and things around. But there they are, and we saw a lot of tracks, a lot of elephant dung on the road. There's lots around here, Gwynnie. Look at it all. It's not that new though.
It's dry.
It's not that new. It's pretty dry. That means that there were elephant here. A big group here. There's obviously a big group enjoyed this place and spent a bit of time here. And this is what an elephant footprint looks like. You can actually see the little. It's almost like tire tracks. It's little things like this. And it's a big, very large flat area, and you can see the little indentations because their feet aren't flat. They've actually got little ripples in their feet. That's pretty nice, actually.
Yes, it is.
That's really pretty great. Exciting, actually. We're in.
Botswana will always be elephants for me as a result of our year at Delta Camp.
Yes, synonymous with elephants. Absolutely. Yes. All right, shall we set up camp?
Yeah, I reckon.
How was your night?
I slept well last night.
Nothing happened at 2:10.
Ah, what happened at 2:10?
An elephant shook the tent.
You lie.
You and I broke a fundamental rule of camping.
Well, we even spoke about it last night. But we were so shattered. We said, "Have we parked in an elephant's track?" And you said to me, "Yes, we have. Let's go and look at the dung."
Don't judge the efficacy of a game path by the age of its dung. If it's a game path, it's a game path.
And don't wait until you're absolutely shattered to camp.
Yeah, it was not a good move on our part.
Oh, well.
We won't do that again. Gave me a big fright. Let me give you an idea of how stupid we were. This is obviously the elephant's path. It comes through here, it comes down through here, okay, and if the car wasn't there, we would see where it goes to, and it clearly goes, it's unmistakable, through these bushes here. So if I'm an elephant, which I was last night, I'd be walking and I would see this in front of me. And I would obviously say, what is going on with this brown Land Cruiser? Sniff around a bit, get slightly annoyed because I have to walk around it, and then carry on my path.
Idiots abroad, what can I say?
That if an elephant approached us now, we wouldn't know it until he was right here. They make absolutely no sound at all. It's unbelievable how a 10-ton animal makes no sound when it walks through the bush. That's a beautiful fresh print.
I'm scanning.
You actually have to keep your eye scanning. But it's a very nice tension, I must add. It's not a scary tension. It's a very nice tension. It's something that's probably unique to Africa, but I'm sure other places, continents with wild animals, it's the same.
basic thing.
So now we've probably got about, I guess about 15 minutes to the gate of the national park, and then we'll be spending the night inside the Great Central Kalahari Game Reserve. See that? By and large, big game is concentrated inside the game reserves. Although, as we've already proven, that's not always the case. But entrance to the reserves is tightly controlled.
Dumelama,
how are you?
I'm excited to be here.
Okay. Will you please register your vehicle, please?
On the road now from Kare for about an hour on this track. Average speed is about 30-35 kilometers an hour. We have 70 kilometers to a place called Piper's Pan. Piper's Pan is special to me because in 2010 I stopped there and camped there, and it's just beautiful. It's a kind of Kalahari vista that I absolutely adore. At the moment the bush is still quite thick and is starting to thin out like this and become more and more picturesque. So the wildlife is starting to appear. Some red, I think they're red hartebeest. Of course, a beautiful gemsbok, which is also known as an oryx.
And some ground squirrels.
And the ground squirrels. The African ground squirrel, unique to Africa, diurnal, live in colonies with sometimes up to 20 individuals. They are very similar in their behavior to the American prairie dog, with 1 to 3 babies per litter, but breeding in Africa all year round. I have a very, very fond memory of this place. In 2010, I drove from the farthest southern point of the Central Kalahari Game Reserve in order to find out what it would be like to do a solo trip. It was my first solo tripping, absolutely alone. But actually it was my second, because the first one failed because of tyre failures. The second one I managed to reach this point and I camped on this pan over here. This is called Piper's Pan. And what I did is I actually drove down there to that clump of trees down there and I set up camp. I had one of the most memorable campsites of my entire overlanding career. It was absolutely magnificent. My chosen camping spot at Piper's Pan is idyllic. This is what has brought me to this part of the Kalahari. Right now, the closest human is probably no nearer than 100 kilometers from me. One of the beauties of Botswana and many of its national parks is that it's permitted for me to get out of the car and actually stand with the animals not very far away from me and photograph them. Most of the national parks in Namibia and South Africa, it's absolutely forbidden. You may not get out of your car at all unless there are designated spots where it's permitted, or you're in a campsite where you're fenced in and protected. It's the beauty of Botswana, and it is what makes Botswana, as far as I'm concerned, unique, because I don't know of any other country that allows this kind of, I mean, there they are, right there. There could be, if there were a lion around, of course I would be very careful. And I'm not going to move far away from the vehicle, because that would be stupid, because there may very well be predators around. But this experience, you can't get it in a lodge. You know, I look around me, the animals are moving around me and they're quite comfortable with me. To me, this eclipses anything else you can experience in Africa, is to be able to stand face to face with wild animals. A lot of game, eh?
It's absolutely idyllic.
Wow, so much more
idyllic
than my other 2 visits. So much more than both. Fantastic.
for me
Yes.
with the vultures.
I just got a glimpse of it on the camera. Lappet face vultures. They are enormous birds. There were 3 of them on the ground.
4.
4. Oh, okay. Difficult to photograph from a car. A black-backed jackal remains close to the kill. Very difficult for us to tell what animal the kill was.
And then, of course, there are the hornbills that are just...
The hornbills are my favourite bird.
birds,
I
yeah.
will get a lovely shot of a hornbill. Probably around the camp when they start becoming more familiar with us, and as once we're still, they'll come towards us. The Kori bustard is the largest flying bird native to Africa and may be the world's heaviest living animal capable of flight. This is Deception Valley, our campsite, designated campsite that we've been given, allocated, is in Deception.
It's a classic tree islands.
Yeah. Now finding our campsite, it's Deception Camp 01, and I see this broken sign here, so we have to do a little bit of, it's upside down, but I think this is it, because if I take that, and that says 01, and if I go there, it says, there you go. Aren't I clever?
Okay, smarty pants, how do you know it's not up that way?
Because there's a campsite right there, and it's got nobody in it. That's our camp.
Prize for the day goes to...
Me. Lovely. Quiet. Pity it's not on one of those beautiful open plains. That would be perfect, but it's still beautiful camp. And we think actually we're going to spend 2 nights here, just chill. We're writing our book together, a follow-up of our memoir. We spent a year in Botswana, and we have best-selling memoir, and it needs a update, needs a follow-up. That's one of the reasons why we're here. And so, where should we put the tent is the only question we now have to ask. I think it should go right here. Well, I don't need ablution blocks or campsites. I prefer just a wild camp. However, they're very rudimentary, and they're actually quite nice because they're basic. You have to bring your own water, and then you pour it into this thing up there, so you can heat it up over the fire, and you pour it in here, and you come in here with me, you'll see so that's this. You just let it down, you let that down, and you've got a little tap here, and you put water in there, and you've got yourself a little shower. Okay, it's very straightforward. And then the toilet is probably, my guess, just a long drop. It most certainly is just a long drop. But a word of warning though, walk in slowly, because you don't know what wild animals, yeah, it's just this plain long drop. This one has no literature. Normally there's a rules of the game park stuck here. But in this time, there's none. Long drop toilet, and that's the facilities you have in these campsites. And I actually like it that way because it means that it keeps away the riffraff.
Hey,
Yo.
In that case, what are you doing here?
I'm not here, I'm just a figment of your imagination.
So are you going to make me a roaring campfire?
We're definitely going to have a campfire tonight. I was thinking about doing some astrophotography, but not really any foregrounds. Foregrounds for astrophotography, you need a distinct shaped tree or something distinctive. This is this bush. So I might see how it goes. But I'm actually quite bushed, and I think I
Just
need
as well you're in the bushes then.
Yeah, I need to get the tent up and a cold thing in my hand. Gwyn and I prefer ground tents to roof tents, so we'll first put that up, then make dinner.
Through the fields of our paths, feelings part our ways, keeping us close but
So tonight we have a beef stroganoff.
Well, not really a stroganoff. It's with garlic and olive oil and stuff.
A stuff.
Potatoes and oh yes, it's cordon bleu It's been slaving all day.
And that's all you can manage.
I'm going to say on the subject. So, David Livingstone, are we actually having a fire tonight or not?
I was thinking about it, but I'm also busy doing camera things. Today we're chilling out. We're literally just going to sit here and just enjoy the surroundings, the silence, the birds, and, well, relax. Unlikely that animals will come past here. We might get a few, but it's well away from the plains. Most of the animals here at this time of year are plains animals. They like the wide open spaces. They feel very insecure in very heavy, thick bush because they cannot see predators, so they tend to congregate on the plains. And in this park there are very few campsites actually on the plains themselves. They're basically all tucked away into the bush. One of the advantages of not moving camp are the birds. The residents quickly become accustomed to one's presence and getting close. This beautiful creature is the crimson-breasted booboo. And this, for me, is the very symbol of the Kalahari itself, the yellow-billed hornbill. But if you want to see big game, then you have to go looking for it. We are on a little game drive. Our fuel is a bit limited, so we haven't been able to do a lot of game driving, so we wait until 4 o'clock and we're heading to the Sunday Pan waterhole. Hopefully we'll see something. And I find myself on these trips, there are a few other people in the park now, the northern section of the Central Kalahari, a lot of camping sites, and this is where most people come to see animals. And I find myself automatically, if I see cars over there, I'll go over there. Being alone is actually more important to me than seeing animals. But that's just me. The best thing to do in an environment like this to see animals is to follow the game viewing vehicles that belong to the lodges in the area, because the guides know more, the locals know more than the visitors. So sometimes if you just follow them at a distance, you might actually get lucky when it comes to seeing game. Right now, don't know what we're going to don't know what we're going to see ahead of us. There's a Sunday waterhole. We are surprised to see that there are no animals around, which means there must be standing water in other places that we don't know about. But normally, time like this time of year, animals would come here. However, the bush is in such good condition that it suggests to me that there's been a lot of rain. It's actually looking fantastic. Remember, if you're in a place like this, keep your wits about you. You've just got to be aware of things around. It's a wildlife area. There could be any kind of animal around. This is amazing. There's a springbok that has just come down to the waterhole while I'm sitting here. It's not too worried about me, and it's coming down for a drink. It's very curious. It's not nervous of me. I'm actually amazed that it's so bold. Not perturbed at all about me. And if I stand up now, it will probably run. I'm going to stand up very slowly and see what she does. It's also time for me to get back closer to the vehicle. The bush is quite thick here, and predators could appear at any time. I'm going to walk away and see what she does. Today has been an amazing day, just such an amazing day in the bush, because we've actually done very, very little. and we just chilled out. We woke up in the morning, we had a coffee and breakfast, and I looked at some of the footage, and we just sat and photographed the birds, the yellow-billed hornbills and the crimson-breasted shrike, just the bird life. And interestingly though, if you're interested in birds, one of the best ways to see birds is to actually just sit at the campsite, because all the birds around kind of flee a bit when you arrive, and then very, very soon get used to your presence, and then come back. And we had all kinds of birds around. It was absolutely wonderful. Then in the afternoon, our game drive, and that beautiful moment with that springbok ram that came to drink, and it wasn't startled by my presence at all. I just moved very slowly, never moved towards it. Turned my back to it, which gives it an indication that if you turn your back to an animal, that actually relaxes them, because it was a wonderful moment. It was really a truly wonderful moment for me to actually be that close to an animal, and it wasn't scared of me. It was absolutely wonderful. Gwyn was in the truck. She was keeping a lookout for any other animals with binoculars, and ready to drive towards me had we seen any predators. It's been an amazing day. Well, I feel as bombed as I look, although extremely refreshed after a fantastic day, relaxing day. Today we're moving off again. It rained heavily last night, but not heavily enough to make the track a little bit slippery, but certainly not enough to make it soft. We're heading out today to a place called Makgadikgadi Pans National Park, an area of which that I don't know at all. The Makgadikgadi Pans themselves I know extremely well, but this little corner I've never been to before. So that's what we're going to go and do today. Makgadikgadi Pans National Park is characterized by vast areas, enormous flat plains, migrating animals, but here of course you can see lots and lots of cows, and we've got to go through a few villages to get there. But this is basically the lowest portion of Botswana in terms of altitude. This area was once a vast lake, and it's not a plateau, it's actually a sunken area, very, very, very flat, for hundreds of kilometers across, is the original lake bed of that ancient lake that once covered almost all of Botswana. And it gets very dusty, but it's beautiful countryside, and I love it so much because it's true big sky country. Nice to see elephant crossing the road. Not that many countries left where you can just drive on the public roads and have to slow down every now and again for elephant. Makes it special. It's turned a bit chilly actually, the wind's come up. It's turned very, very, very chilly.
Can I tell you the names?
Please.
Okay. Jack.
Jack.
This is Job.
Job. And Jack.
Yeah.
Now we're at a town called Rockops. Rockops is typical little town in Botswana. Little fuel station, we filled up. And we're thinking about what to do tonight because the wind is really blowing. The dust is horrible. So we're thinking about maybe finding some shelter from that, because the Makgadikgadi Pan Game Reserve in that area is just wide open and there's a dust storm. So do we want to go camping in a dust storm? Not sure if we want to do that. So we're going to look at the map now, decide what we do tonight, but we might change our plans a little bit with an iron brew.
When you ask my kids, what do you miss about South Africa? Iron brew is often mentioned.
Actually, I thought it was a bit of a letdown. I expected it to be like Dr. Pepper.
No, but iron brew is not Dr. Pepper.
No, it's not Dr. Pepper. What are we going to do tonight? Let's have a look at the map.
I think we're here. What was our plan and now what are we thinking?
We are at the town of Rakops and our plan was to drive up here to Kugama and then drive into and camp in this area here. What we're going to do now is we're going to drive up and have a look and decide if we camp. The alternative is to drive through it and actually camp at a place called Gweta, because just south of Gweta is a Gweta lodge where we can camp, and it's sheltered. I know it. I've been there a couple of times. There it is, their Gweta lodge. So that's our alternative depending on the strength of wind. But I think what we should do now is just go up there and go in and have a look.
Done.
Our route means that we have to cross the Boteti River, but there is no bridge. But there is a pond. How much to cross? 150, 150. The water level, being quite low, means that the pond doesn't need to move. The pond fee has in effect become a toll fee to cross this temporary bridge. And those of you who have seen my series called Living the Overlander's Dream, my search for the source of the Okavango River, will remember right at the end, after weeks and weeks and weeks of following the river right from the highlands of Angola right the way through the Okavango, finally the Boteti River and a dry Boteti River bed.
This is the water pouring occasion.
Where I witnessed the water. This was in 2010. They had not seen water in the river since 1974.
This is absolutely amazing.
This is the man I told you. That water has come from the very start of the Okavango.
Yeah. The very top of the mountain.
Is it?
Right at the top.
And now what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
This is that same river, and that moment where I poured the water from the source back into the river.
Lovely. Well done. You got to join the two. You got to join the two. You got to make it join.
Is it going to work? Will I have enough? Will I have enough?
Come on. Yes!
Was less than 10 kilometers from this very spot, and since then, in 2010, this river has not dried. It's stayed wet, and in fact now it's, if you look on Google Earth, this whole area has become a new floodplain. Absolutely amazing to see it now 8 years later. Yes.
So we've done some things.
Entered the Makgadikgadi Pans National Park, of course, across the river, the Boteti River, and now we're going to have a little game drive and look for some animals. This area is quite well known for the zebra migration, and I think we're actually seeing part of it now because there are hundreds of animals here. Fish eagle. Because the national parks in Botswana charge a fair amount of money for camping, for example, a visitor from out of the region, $50 a day for camping. Plus the two of us, the entrance fee will be about $29 just to go into the park. So it can mount up, the costs can mount up. What many people do, and what we're going to do right now, is actually take a day visit into one of the national parks. This is the Makgadikgadi Pans Naipan National Park. We went through the Makgadikgadi Pans National Park yesterday. This is part of the same region. We're just paying our daily fee, and we're going to go and have a look. We're staying at a small lodge, freshening up, not camping for a night, which we're doing that tonight. So and getting a little bit of laundry done, which is kind of ideal for us at this time. But it does mean that we're going to start seeing other people. We're not going to be alone anymore, because these are very popular, and this is one of the more popular national parks. And in fact, later on this expedition, we're going to get into the most popular national parks, and this being high season means that we're going to have to put up with people, which means that my patience is going to be tried. But I am going to do my best to be calm and collected, not get freaked out by stupid, noisy people that disturb my peace.
I'll beat you with the camera
Yes,
if you get
can,
out of hand.
Yes, you can do that. Okay. I've got a photograph on this very track, and I've used it in many of my books, of me topping up petrol in the Land Rover V8, and it's a narrow bush track, and I'm standing pouring fuel from a jerry can, which I remember now was on this very piece of track. How's that for memory? That was probably shot well, 1992.
What did you have for breakfast yesterday?
I have no idea.
Mama Konya, yeah, Baba Konya, Mama Konya, on the Kerala wine again. Na 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 na, Baba way, na 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 way, na 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 na.
I love filming in the Pans because of the sky, the big sky country. And the sky today is fantastic. Fantastic. So I set up a wide angle lens. I'm going to shoot with a wide angle lens. I'm going to shoot with a long lens and get a mix of the two to really just give the idea of this vast emptiness. And of course we're going to go and have a look at the trees in a minute. This collection of baobab trees are amongst the most famous in Africa. They were painted by Sir Thomas Baines in 1862 and have come to be known as Baines baobabs. Unconfirmed, it is said the painting hangs in one of the British royal households. I look at these names that have been carved on the tree, people's names, and I can't help think that it must be part of human beings' need to leave a legacy. That inside of all of us, we all know that this, whatever this is for us, is temporary in nature. And we want to leave something behind. And there's something about, because you won't find graffiti anywhere in the Kalahari, apart from on living trees. And the baobab, being a very broad canvas, is an obvious attraction. I don't quite understand it, but I have to conclude that. And here are the young'uns, the young trees. Now, realistically speaking, these trees are probably close to 100 years old. Even these ones here, they're very, very old trees. And because of the almost complete lack of sustenance in the soil, very, very salty ground, these trees are probably close to between 500 and 1,000 years old. Some baobabs in the area have been measured over 1,000 years old. We've been pretty lucky. Soon after we arrived at Baines, the people that were already there left. And 4 hours later, when we were ready to leave, one other vehicle arrived. But it's time to leave. We have a rendezvous scheduled with friends in Maun, a town about 3 hours away, friends that will be joining us on our expedition. This is one of those places that I just find so difficult to leave. We spent the whole day at the Baobabs, and I just, as we're leaving, the lights are getting more beautiful. We're finding it difficult to leave. This is Maun, gateway to the Okavango. We have arranged to meet no less than 5 people here. To begin with, Jeremy from Seattle. He looks like he's got a nice tent at the side of the river. Lucky old Jeremy.
Did you think we'd abandoned you in Africa?
No, it's been great.
So nice to
I just moved into this like 2 seconds ago. How are you? Oh, I'm a bit sweaty. I'm sorry.
They told us you came yesterday.
I did, but I was in a different tent.
It's taken him 34 hours to get here.
I came in, I went to bed about 6 o'clock and I slept all the way till about 4:30 this morning. So I caught up on an entire, almost all the way. I'm still about 6 hours shy, but it wasn't bad from 2 days of travel. So it worked out really nice.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Then there's Bob. I realized that an old friend of mine worked here 8 years ago. When I came here for a meal, we were doing a trip, and I looked at, this is Audi Camp, and I looked at their quaint menu, which has photographs of staff members, and I found, to my absolute delight, and I have no idea if it's still here, a photograph of an old friend, Bob Avellino, who worked with Gun and I at Delta Camp. I suddenly realized there was Bob, and he worked here, and we had a wonderful reunion 8 years ago, and we're about to have another one now.
Bob's chocolate mousse. When we were running Delta Camp, chocolate mousse was the highlight of the dessert menu, and creme caramel.
Hello.
Mr. Marsh.
And then joining us on the expedition is Paul Marsh and his partner Joe. Hello. How you doing?
Oh, well, great to see you, man. Hello, Gwen.
Joe. How you doing?
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Joe.
Not
Gwen.
even less than an hour.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to know you.
Enjoying Botswana?
Fantastic, yeah.
How are you?
How are you? Good. How are you?
You're looking good.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Nice to meet you. You're welcome, man.
And of course, we've wasted no time at all getting down to real business, and that is reminiscing about our wonderful year in the Okavango.
Andrew was 30. I was about 27.
How old are you now?
I can't remember.
59.
You don't want to remember.
I
can't count that high. I remember that. When he was, I killed him. We are, of course, talking about Matanta, our deputy manager and professional joke maker. He'll be dropping by soon, hopefully.
Go forever.
Absolutely.
Really? How are you?
I would have recognized you anyway.
That's good. Hello, guys.
Hey, man. my good friend.
Your good friend. Okay, I'm Martin. I'm Matanta.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and Botswana. Paul, nice to meet you, Paul.
Hello, Joe.
Nice to meet you,
So
Joe.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So what you doing?
I'm still in the safari.
Yeah. Still cooking? Cooking for the khua. So we've got something for you.
A copy of the book we wrote. Let me take that.
Come on.
His reaction is exactly what we were hoping for. He's just realized the name of the book. Torn Trousers. His name, Matanta, means torn trousers.
So do you still do so many jokes on people? Or have you calmed down?
I'm grown up, I'm not longer.
You're not.
I'm grown up. I think my brain now is dead already. But when I got beer, I can talk shit.
Let's get the man a beer.
Wow, this is good book, eh?
Geez, eh?
Wow, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, it's daybreak in Maun. We're head off today, head north into the wilderness. But not before we stock up on food and fuel. We'll be carrying 170 litres per vehicle. We need about 700 kilometres range, but the conditions of the sand tracks mean that we'll probably use most of that. Right, this is the main road leading to the Moremi Wildlife Reserve, and I must say it's in very, very good condition because I first drove this road in the back seat of my father's Range Rover in 1976. And in the vehicle we have Jeremy and Quinn. Right, our first game sighting with Jeremy. Very exciting. What a beautiful setting for a lunch stop. This piece of video footage is of my dad's Range Rover parked at this exact spot in 1976, and we came through after driving through torrential rain and mud for almost a day, and arriving here and signing in, entering the Moremi Game Reserve. This is high season now, there are lots of vehicles. Then there was no such thing as high season because there were so few visitors here that there was no measure for high season. We signed our name, spent 3 days in the Moremi, came back out again and signed our name directly under our name, signing ourselves in. Nobody else during those 3 days in May had entered the Moremi Game Reserve. It's a very different story today. This is South Gate, just north of the southern entrance to the Moremi Game Reserve. And what is very exciting is that the people there, we signed in, and they told us that beware of hyena and honey badger. Honey badger, that's pretty unusual to have honey badgers in a public campsite. So we'll be diligent in putting all our food away because hyenas can actually be quite troublesome around the camp. So they say 6 o'clock and the hyenas stop prowling around the campfire, and she said make a nice big fire to keep them away.
I thought she was a really good salesman.
She's either very good at selling wood, or we're going to have a very interesting evening. These birds are called arrow-marked babblers. They are the children of the African bush. They gather together and argue a lot, and are generally very playful. I have a confession to make. I don't really like camping. Let's put it this way. When camping becomes part of an expeditional trip to find an amazing place, then I enjoy camping. But camping for the sake of camping, I'd rather be comfortable at home. That's why, if I look around me now, I'm in a public campsite. There are campers over there and campers over there and campers over there. We've got a beautiful campsite. It's gorgeous. And there are campers over there, and the associated noise with other campers. This is not my thing. It just isn't. Generally speaking, unless I'm actually using a public campsite en route to a destination, I avoid public campsites like the plague. I'd much rather just pull over at the side of the road, which I often do, particularly in Australia. However, this is what we've come here to enjoy, and it being high season in Botswana, there are going to be other people also camping. So we are going to be spending quite a bit of time in public campsites. And we're going to have to put up with other vehicles and other noise. It's just part of what we're doing. And it's needed because these areas have such an abundance of wildlife, and that's why there are so many people here. They've come to enjoy what we are hoping to enjoy.
And then you put now.
For example, here is a Frenchman with his family.
Yeah, you don't have to. After it goes,
Yeah.
this burns down, you'll be able to add logs and just keep it just off the ground so that it...
And the two pieces there, they
Needing help to make a campfire. I learned to make a campfire about the same time as I fell off my first bike. But here is a middle-aged man, never having done it before. This is proof you don't need to know everything before you go on an adventure.
You just had a pee outside. How do you feel now?
And it's time for us to see how close that hyena was to our tent.
Is it big enough for hyena?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he
Almost-
right past
almost
my head,
certainly.
Probably while I was having my...
He was very close. In fact, that's about where, I mean, he sounded just behind the tent, didn't he?
Oh.
He was very, very close.
I think he took exception to me having a pee.
I think he must have, yes.
And always bringing a smile to my face, the arrow-marked babblers are back.
This trip is a little different from so many of my trips in such a very good way, and that is, again, yet again, we're not rushed this morning. We have a deadline, but if we had to drive directly to our next camp, which is at Kwai River, a community campsite, if we had to drive there, we could get there in about an hour and a half. But we're going to take a long route through the Moremi Game Reserve and look for animals, and it'll probably take us 4 to 5 hours, maybe 6 to 7 if we see massive amounts of game. So again, it's a brilliant, brilliant chilled day.
Got his eyeball. Hey.
Yes, it's like
behind a bush.
That is the shot of the series. Perfectly framed elephant.
Another eye. I got a piece of a tusk now.
Ah, you're a genius.
While Jeremy shoots stills, I'm shooting video.
Looks like a water hole. Animals leaving, they've drunk and they're heading off.
That cute little baby.
I think it just clicked, Gwen.
What?
I'm in Africa. This guy looks stupid.
How many days has it taken?
4 days. And I finally woke up at the right time as well. So, yeah, I'm actually here. I like it. And the light's great. The weather's fantastic.
Coming down to this tree. Being at the right place at the right time.
Watoto yaye mundo moyo dunia ero mundo moyo binadamu mundo moyo la 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 la
Our trip through Botswana has taken us from Kade, through the central Kalahari Game Reserve, Makadikari Pans National Park, Naipan National Park, to Maun to meet up with friends, and now at the Marimi Game Reserve, one of Botswana's best-loved wildlife sanctuaries. We're on a game drive, and we'll end the day at our final destination, our campsite at Kwai River. Driving through this woodlands, there's destruction everywhere, and it's senseless, and it's elephant, and it just shows you the bounty of the elephant population in Botswana. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Just 4 weeks after I filmed this, Botswana suffered its worst poaching incident in decades, when a large group of elephants was massacred near the Okavango, due, I imagine, to Botswana's decision to disarm its anti-poaching patrols. The sage, we're driving through now almost like a plateau of sage. The aroma is absolutely wonderful. I'll pick a piece now and show you. This is wild sage. In the morning, the dew settles. This gives off the most fantastic aroma. And around the campfire, if you take some of this and you put it on your campfire, it gives off a bit of smoke. There are lots of mosquitoes around. This is very, very good at chasing them away. And if you roll a little bit of it in your fingers, it is, to me, one of the great symbols of the Kalahari. Not far ahead, we meet a group of travellers who probably misjudged the tracks.
Not so good, actually. You're stuck. Yeah, we're stuck. Actually, we were about to go over the bump, and then they are stuck in front as well. And then they said, no, we should come back and just take a small detour and help them.
Okay.
And when we came back, we got stuck as well. Okay. So we will appreciate it so much if you guys will be able to assist.
I'm sure we will.
Surprisingly, really, given that this man is their guide. In general, the standard of guides in Botswana is one of the highest in Africa. I guess this guy didn't attend all the classes.
Spade, no.
And up until we had arrived, he was just standing around looking helpless. Not even a spade was carried.
The diff. Oh, good. Yes. Okay, it's under the diff as well. Yeah, we've got a two-wheel drive vehicle here stuck, and a four-wheel drive vehicle over there stuck in the sand. So we just have to manage all the recoveries so we can get everybody out as quickly as possible.
You guys good?
Yeah. No, you fully go? You got it. Going? Good. Hey, go.
So, second vehicle.
First time in Africa, but not the first time in the sand. Sitting on the frame.
Ready, 1, 2, 3,
go!
Slowly.
We did take the opportunity, though, to ask route advice, as the water levels were quite a lot higher than normal for this time of year, and we were falling quite far behind on our schedule.
You just use that one, you just cross the water, there's no problem with that water.
He's turned the other way, he's okay. I can see him. There. Oh, this could be good.
A quick lunch stop at Xini Lagoon. It's Xini. That's how you pronounce it. This is a hardly used road, but it's the way they said. All right, well, we're now going to try a different route. The chap there said that that road was impassable, that we should go this road to Third Bridge. But our race now is actually, we've had such a great morning's game viewing that we've run out of time. We will not make Kwai unless we push it. And we don't make any mistakes with the route, and that this route is open. So it's a bit of a gamble, but we're just going to go for it.
The joys.
try and find our way back to the main road. We can't drive through to deep water. I think this is just, there's a whole lot more hippo there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is looking dangerous.
Does this track goes into the trees and then around in that way?
I think this is a track that goes around the lagoon. I don't think this is a road to the main road. I just don't believe it is. So the good news is that while we are quite lost, and the Tracks for Africa on this particular Garmin GPS is useless, completely useless. It won't even give us a reference point of where we are on the map, because the moment you zoom in, all the roads vanish. So, but the good news is we've got plenty of water and plenty of fuel, but not plenty of time. If I had to run out of one of those three, it would be time. Alright, we finally made the Kwai gate. This is the north gate of the Marimi Game Reserve. We decided, and this kind of happened off camera, the camera wasn't rolling, but we could have pushed on to our original route, but the chances of getting out of the reserve were slim. We spent a lot of time digging those people out, and we decided that what we have in store for us tomorrow is a can't miss item. So we decided, let's play it safe and drive back and come to Kwai, the uninteresting fastway, which we've just completed. So we're now going to leave the Marimi Game Reserve, and but we do have a surprise in store for tomorrow. So what we actually did today is we went from the South Gate, and we had our magnificent game drive all the way along here. The pans and the elephants and giraffe and all of the game. It was absolutely marvelous, and all the way up to about here. And we had actually not taken the road we had intended to, but we'd actually taken this road here and were cut off and realized that it was going to take too long to get to Fourth Bridge, and then Third Bridge is there, which was actually our intended destination. No way we could do it. So we've come back on this road, and this is pretty uninteresting, and at the moment we are up here, this part of the map up here on Kwai. We'll be 2 days in this, exploring this area here, and then we will head further north. The campsite we're going to stay at tonight is the Kwai Community, Ngudi Kwai Community Campsite, and I'm wondering if it's on. I know very little about it, just that I've been told that the game encounters in the area are rich. The light, the light, light. Absolutely just so beautiful. You just want to take pictures, take pictures, take pictures, take pictures.
And with what we've done and what we've seen, and the light, and just the animals. And then the rain came, and we got that amazing smell. It just brought all the smells out. But you could smell the dung, you could smell the trees, you could smell the dust, and you could see the rain just settle on the dust as it killed it. It's just memories, beautiful memories.
So, what do you reckon as a campsite?
I think words like sublime and
really work. Try something else.
Just
incredible.
The best ever.
Nah.
Leave me here to die.
Okay, you're getting there. Oh dear, this is just something else. This is a hippo path, my darling.
I realise.
We are right. Look at this.
We'll leave them there. Okay.
That is a hippo path.
Actually, it could also be for Mokoro.
That is true. Look, fish eagle.
Oh yes.
So that xylophone-like sound. Painted reed frog. They're about this big. When I first came here, 12 years old, the impact of this place on me was profound. And it's why I have been doing what I do for so long. It changed my life. I'll leave you now with a recording that I made on a little tape recorder when I was 12 years old, looking out on a scene not unlike the one in front of me now.
We are now at the Okavango swamps, and you can hear in the background the croaking of frogs and the noise of insects. The sky is very dark and bright skies, so bright stars appear, and the horizon is much lighter. You can just see the outline of the trees and the outline of the grass and shining waters.
Tomorrow we'll get a closer glimpse as we go out onto the water. Animal encounters tonight. Very likely that we will be disturbed by hippo. Not many people know that hippo are actually the most dangerous animal in Africa, surpassing crocodiles, lions and leopards. So we will be safe in our lager, and we will not go wandering around at night. Hippo are a real danger, and they are extremely grumpy. But apart from that, probably the only other animal we will... Antelope, probably elephant. We will see what the night holds for us. Trying to find a flat place to fit the tent.
Brilliant.
8 o'clock tomorrow morning when you get off.
It's 5:30. We have hippo around us. With many animals I would stick the torch out and point the camera at them and have a look. I'm not going to do it with hippos. They're just too dangerous to do that with, so we've got a lot of hippo around us and they're making quite a bit of noise. So, very exciting.
They're looking at us. There's two.
Where is he now?
He's just in the water there. And there's one that's moved over to the right. He stood here for an hour this morning. I mean, right there, at that little trailhead. And when I showed my flashlight on him, he just looked at me for a long time, and then went back to eating. And then there was another one that was calling from the right. But this guy's been going at it for 2 hours, just looking for breakfast. Right, what is it? 20 yards from the camp. It's a really nice way to wake up.
There is a legend about the hippo. Why does it spend all its time in the water? I'm telling the story. When God created all of the wonderful animals of Africa, He looked down on them proudly, only to be interrupted by the hippo that looked up and said, "I'm getting sunburnt. I want to go in the water, please." God said, "No, you go in the water, you'll eat my fishes." Hippo said, "No, no, no, no. If you let me go in the water, what I'll do is every time at night I'll come out, I'll do my number 2, I'll spray it with my tail all over the place so you can see that I haven't eaten any of your fishes." So God said, "Okay, we'll give it a try." And that's why when the hippos come out at night, they do their number 2s by spreading it all over the place, and every time they do it, they look up and they say, "Look, see, no fishes." True story. We're about to go out on the water.
Really? Have you used it?
Andrew used to use it when he lived here.
Really?
Oh, really?
It's fantastic.
Paul was asking Gwyn about a natural eye drops that grows only in the Okavango. If I see one, I'll show it to you.
You want me to? You can.
Yeah, no, just wait for themselves to.
So nice in the water. Poling a Makoro or being poled in a Makoro, let's put it that way, is unlike anything else. I've been poling in Cambridge in the UK with the punt. It's fun, but it's nothing like this. The poler at the back, he learned to pole virtually before he could walk. He knows these waters like the back of his hand. Big cliche, but he does. He can see things in the bush that we don't even know are there. So from that point of view, you're in the best possible hands, and it's just so nice knowing you've got all this behind you. And then there's the water. It's like silk. It's really just like silk. And then you get to see animals as well. I love it.
The smoothest tracking shot you're going to ever see. Being on the water, being poled through the delta is but a superb way of not only seeing wild animals but experiencing wild animals, is to take a Makoro trail and then walk on the islands, walk amongst the animals. To me it is a more genuine, if you like, African experience than simply watching animals from a vehicle. This delicate little yellow flower is a kind of liverwort, and it is a natural eyedropper. Antihistamine, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to pull that up, and in that is the medicinal properties that are very good for eye strain, red eyes. And if I pick up the plant like that, that's a natural eyedropper, and that natural eyedropper, a few drops of that in your eye I used to suffer from acute red eyes caused by dust. I came and lived in the Okavango for a year. The guides showed me this. One drop in my eye cured me for good. I no longer suffer from it.
It's all too soon, and our excursion is coming to an end. But because Kwai is on the outward reaches of the Okavango itself, it's no match for the real thing.
It certainly gives one the taste of the Okavango.
For that, only a fly-in safari will do.
And here is the perfect example of hippo poo, sprayed all over the log.
I've got your rusks. Hang on, I've got one for you. Okay. 2 for you. That's good healthy sand, don't worry. 3 for you.
Would you put up with this?